The Matrix Resurrections is a movie about making The Matrix Resurrections. We cannot emphasize this enough.
Am I crazy? We don't use that word in here.
The end of Resurrections begins with a much-anticipated sit-down between Neo and the Analyst. Their venue for this meetup is the delightfully named Simulate Coffee Shop, where Thomas Anderson has received much of his stimulation over the years and inspiration via a beautiful woman named Tiffany, who bears a striking resemblance to our old friend Trinity. This Tiffany has a lot invested in the world she sees every day. She has a husband, a job, 3 children, but also a persistent feeling there must be more, as well as a relentless affection for Ducati motorcycles. At the coffee shop, Neo and the Analyst finally lay all their cards on the table and decide to let her break the stalemate. If Tiffany decides to stay Tiffany, Neo will return to the Matrix once and for all and become Thomas Anderson again. If she decides to become Trinity, all bets are off. The architect, who says he likes tests, accepts, saying, "We'll let Tiff decide." Breaking down the stakes, the grown-up Sati sums up Neo's dilemma with a single line.
The most important choice in Neo's life is not his to make.
After watching Moss's character essentially being lobotomized for most of the film, what comes next is particularly satisfying. As her husband and kids make one last sales pitch, it appears that Tiffany might return home with them. Just as Neo is being dragged away, however, she delivers 4 words that trigger the film's ending, and perhaps more Matrix movies to come. My name is Trinity. One of the more welcomed upgrades in The Matrix Resurrections is the new Agent Smith. Although Hugo Weaving was nothing short of iconic in his work originating the character, Jonathan Groff does a fine job as his new face. At the end of Revolutions, it looked as if both Neo and Smith had been destroyed. With Resurrections, we once again see that Smith and Neo's fates are tied to each other. As his boss becomes his enemy, Groff's Smith takes over in the key Matrix role of engaging Neo in multiple high-powered, memorable smackdowns. By the end of the film, it looks as if Smith might have been eradicated. But when Neo and Trinity need saving, Smith once again returns from the dead, this time to fight on their side. He substantially aids their efforts in the Simulate coffee shop. Then, vanishing once again, he points out to our heroes, anyone could be you, whereas I've always been anyone. What follows is all the butt-kicking, bullet-dodging, aerial acrobatic choreography you would expect from a Matrix film. This time, with Neo and Trinity backed up by a new crew led by Bugs. As the group make their way out of the Simulate, the Analyst turns the Matrix against these viruses threatening his creation. In essence, every human in the area turns into a quasi-zombie, attempting to take down the heroes. When Trinity shows up on a Ducati and has Neo hop on board, this sequence gets particularly striking, as in hundreds of bodies striking the streets down below, diving out skyscraper windows and essentially turning themselves into bombs attempting to hit Trinity and Neo as they speed through the streets. After many close calls, explosions, and imperiled colleagues, Trinity and Neo make it to their destination. But what comes next? If people are truly to be freed, the Analyst himself must be confronted. But with Neo and Trinity united again, and their minds freed, anything is possible. With that bit of business concluded and agents closing in, Neo and Trinity take to the roof of a skyscraper, where they take a great leap of faith. Throughout the Matrix Resurrections, Neo keeps seeing the same recurring image of birds in flight, flying in some sort of time loop. We are also told that Thomas Anderson tried to step off the roof of a building at a corporate party but was pulled back at the last moment, an event witnessed by Bugs. Finally, it becomes a sort of running joke throughout Resurrections that people ask Neo whether he can still fly, and he can't make it happen. All this builds to Neo and Trinity literally taking a leap of faith, stepping off the top of the building, holding hands. At first they begin to fall, and you'd be forgiven if you just assume Neo's old skills will kick in and he'll save the day. Instead, it's Trinity who discovers an ability to fly. Reminiscent of Neo soaring away at the end of the original Matrix, this time it's Trinity who takes to the sky, with Neo along for the ride. When the duo confront the Analyst together, this time in his office, the power dynamic has shifted considerably. Now, instead of dictating the terms to Neo, surrounded by dozens of his agents, he is on his heels and alone. But that doesn't stop the analyst from bragging about his plans, waxing philosophic about the intrinsic shortcomings of mankind, and telling the duo time and again that their efforts are useless. As if to drive home the point that he's the one fighting the losing battle, Trinity kills the analyst again and again, each time with him snapping back until he finally seems to admit defeat. At this point, the analyst seems to shift from saying they'll never gain control to essentially saying they'll hate the burden of having control. What are they going to do, he asks? Rebuild everything with rainbows in the skies? As he puts it, the sheeple aren't going anywhere. At this point, the newly reunited Trinity and Neo resolve to do exactly that, joking that the rainbow idea actually sounds pretty nice. If you stick around through the credits, you'll notice that when the title The Matrix Resurrections is flashed on the screen, it becomes The Matrix Resurrects. Could this be the title of the next potential film? Like the end of the original film, the final moments are soundtracked by the uplifting rebellion rock of Wake Up. Only this time, rather than the ferocious Rage Against the Machine original, the cover version you hear is by a band called Brass Against, with help from Sofia Urista. Unfortunately, the post-credit scene is a real disappointment. When the titles lift and the screen lights up again, we are transported back to Thomas Anderson's old place of work, where his team are still debating new marketing ideas and ways to make money off the Matrix franchise. As in the earlier scenes, it's all very meta. Someone says, "Face reality. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative is dead." Their solution? Create programming for felines, a series of videos called the Catrix. And yeah, that's real. The Matrix Resurrections is in theaters now. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite movies and TV shows are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.